I know a little bit about planning, from reading productivity books like Getting Things Done by David Allen to designing a daily planner, weekly planner, yearly planner, and sharing countless videos on YouTube on how to organize your life, your tasks, and your goals. Through the years, you can see the evolution of how I organize my days and my weeks to get things done. Essentially, I'm always fine-tuning and tweaking my system to be as effective and balanced as possible. And you can say that I've been doing this for like over 10 years. I've been trying to be productive and then changing my systems, improving things as we go, until my latest update, which was about 5 months ago. I revamped my weekly to-do list system on Notion, and I'm really loving this new system because not only is it helping me prioritize the most important things, but it's also like pretty balanced in the way that I look at my life. So this is what I'm excited to share with you today, is the latest update of my to-do list system. First, let me go over the key concepts of my to-do list system and why I set it up the way I set it up. Number one, it is really important for me to keep my macro goals top of mind. So I always like to put like the big picture goals, my life goals and my monthly goals and main focuses at the top of this page so that I always see it as I'm working on the day-to-day, because it's always good to like have a pulse on, okay, what is the big picture? When I zoom out, what do I really want to do? What am I really trying to accomplish before you dive into the little details? Number two is to optimize and prioritize. I'm always trying to spend my time on the most impactful, most important, most effective thing versus wasting my time on things that aren't important, right? I'm trying to get the most bang for my buck for my time because I don't always want to be working. I want to spend the least amount of time working, but on the most important things. Number three is balance. It's really important for me to have a holistic view of my life to make sure that I'm working towards the different areas of my life that matter to me so that I'm not just focused on one area. I find that most of our to-do lists tend to focus on like work, and then we don't put things on there for self-care or relationships or just the other areas of life that are just as important. So here is a glimpse of my weekly to-do list system on Notion. I'm calling it Focus V2 because I shared the version 1 in my last video where I shared basically a similar version of this page, but now this is the next level, next version, new and improved. But before I get into the full tour, let me first thank Notion for sponsoring today's video. Notion is an amazing tool for project management because there's so much you can do on it. It is so versatile. You can create docs, wikis, tables, task systems, calendars. I've been using Notion for over 2 years, and now it's an absolute necessity in my life. I use it for absolutely everything. So on the personal side, I use Notion to organize my goals, everything I cook. I have like this recipe page on Notion, planning my new house, creating inspo boards, creating to-do lists. And then for work, we use Notion to organize everything that the Lavendaire team has to do. So everything from organizing our tasks, our content calendars, all the different functions of Lavendaire have their own page. Like we have a shop page, a podcast page, marketing page, content page, community page. We use all these different tools in Notion to organize all the info that we have going on. We use it to communicate with each other, give notes and feedback on designs. I love using the calendars on Notion to plan our content calendar for the shop and for Lavendaire. We use it to plan our community calendar, our workshop and events calendar. Basically anything you can think of that you need to do, you can do on Notion. There is a function and there is a way. More recently, Notion just launched their new Notion Projects, which is a new comprehensive project management tool to integrate all of your team's docs, wikis, and knowledge base so that you can execute your projects with more speed and clarity. So Notion Projects is basically Notion, but with better and new features and integrations. Notion Projects is not just about tracking tasks. It's also about centralizing your workflows into one place. Meeting notes, launch plans, brainstorms, and goals so things don't get lost in the shuffle. So whether you're building a product roadmap, sprint plan, marketing campaign, or passion project, Notion brings projects into one connected workspace so that you can accomplish more with fewer tools. If you're interested in trying it out, you can get started with Notion Projects for free by clicking that link in my description down below. I'll share some templates for Notion Projects as well as my template for my weekly to-do list system, which I'll get into right now. All right, here we are in Focus V2. So the layout might look similar to the last one that I shared, but there are significant changes in this section, the weekly section, which we'll get into. So as you can see, the top of mind has to be your main goals. These I put as kind of like my theme for the year, or even my theme or goal for my life. So again, I've shared this template down below so you can download it, add it to your own Notion, and input your own goals and information here and customize it to your own liking. So what I felt about the previous version was sometimes this page can get too cluttered and overwhelming, which is why I've inputted more toggles. I like to toggle things open and close, which you'll see, and it just feels more clean to me. It just looks more aesthetic and it doesn't look too overwhelming, because with the previous layout, once you have a bunch of things crossed out, and I don't know, it can look a little bit too much. So on the top left, we have our monthly theme and our monthly goals. Try not to set more than 3 monthly goals at the same time. I feel that usually I just stick to 1 or 2 monthly goals, and that's really enough for me to focus on. If I try to put 3, I'm really trying to balance a lot of things. On the right side, I put 10x work, and this concept was inspired by my podcast interview with Kay He. I'll link it down below, but he talked about like 10K work, which basically means certain things that you do create like most of your income or most of the outcome, I guess, like the most impactful things. So it doesn't have to necessarily be money related. It doesn't have to be like 10K work. So I put 10X because these are the things, if I were to do it, would be a huge investment on myself, and it would be like leverage. Basically, like you do it and it like helps you jump forward 10X. You know, some things are like small progress, and some things like if you do it, like boom, you're on to the next level. So that's what 10x work means. And so I put here like the things that I could be working on that are 10x work. So things like training a solid team. If I have a solid, amazing team, that like 10x's our business. And same thing with writing a book. That's like a big, scary goal. But if I were to do it, that would 10x my career. So that is there as a reminder to focus on the big important things, big picture. And usually these are the scariest things to do that we procrastinate on, but you know, you get me. Moving on, we have this week, and this is where you would put your weekly goals. I have it separated into work goals and house goals because house is an area that I am working towards. It's a big project for me, as you can see in my monthly goals and my recent vlog that I posted. So that's why I like to separate goals per project. And you might have other things you're focused on right now. It might be like work goals and fitness goals, right? You can put whatever matters to you here for your weekly goals. Over on the right, I have like my self-care routine, and I break it down into morning and evening. So these are things that I would like copy and paste down below into my daily to-do list. But it's a reminder that like if I were to do these things every morning, every evening, I feel good about myself. I am proud of myself. These are usually things that we would put off if we only focus on like getting the work things to do. So that's why I think it's important to have this here so that it's top of mind. Like, this is my routine. This is what I want to integrate into my everyday. And it's okay if you don't do it every day, but at the very least you have it written down, it's right in front of you and you can see it. Moving on to the star of the show, the weekly section. So as you can see, I have sections for Monday through Friday, and then I have one section for the weekend because we're trying not to like have a to-do list on the weekend. So the general format is you start with your daily theme, and then you have space to put your 3 most important tasks. And then you have a section for scheduled. So anything that is on your calendar that has a time, you put it under scheduled. And then you have your self-care, which is your to-dos for self-care. And then you have extra. And the emoji is a cherry because these things are a cherry on top. So your most important tasks are your best ways to spend your time. It's the most impactful way to spend your time. It's basically how you optimize and prioritize. So if you were to only do these 3 things today and do nothing else, you would still be satisfied if you were to do these 3 things. So that's a very precious area. So I opened up everything, and the top row is an example of what it looks like filled in, and then the bottom is an example of what it looks like empty. So as you can see, this is literally my week last week. I set a theme, And my theme, basically you'll notice I put numbers here. It's because I like numerology. Every day has a number. I made a video about that if you want to know how to plan your days with numerology. But anyway, I have the numbers because each number has like a theme related to it. But sometimes my numbers and themes don't match up. It just really depends on the time. So Monday is just admin and catch up. I did just a lot of admin work, making calls. I scheduled plumbers to come check out things out at our house. Tuesday was a house focused day. So my most important tasks were like content related for YouTube. But aside from that, I scheduled like 7 meetings with different people to look at our house for random things. So as you can see, that was a very house themed day. And here's a content themed day where I'm focused on planning videos, and I was pretty good with my self-care this day. As you can see, I did a lot of self-care this day, and this day I did nothing for self-care. And sometimes life is like that, right? So that's basically the template. And if you scroll down here under notes and reminders in this section, I have the templates laid out so you can just copy and paste them to your days. I have it with the schedule and then without the schedule. And then I have a weekend template here. The reason why I really enjoy this weekly template is because you can shift things around throughout your week and you can plan your week at a glance. So similar to the weekly reset planner where you have your weekly view here, I think it's really helpful like every Sunday to plan your weeks, because sometimes you have things scheduled on your week already. Like, okay, I have a lunch this day, I have meetings this day, and then you already kind of know what your goal for the week is, right? You set your weekly goals and then you kind of input, how am I gonna organize my time throughout the week to get these things done? And you know, I love using Notion because it's so flexible. Like if you don't get something done today, you can move it to tomorrow, or if you're too busy tomorrow, you move it to the next day. And I know we always have extra leftover things on our to-do list. So for example, if you had like a bunch of stuff that you didn't get to finish on Friday, then you would move it to this next week section. I mean, you can move it to weekend if you want to try to get something done on the weekend, but yeah, usually I end up moving things to next week if it's not important this week. So then my next week gets filled with like a long list, and then every Sunday I look at this next week list and then I start to schedule it in next week, Monday through Friday. The weekend template is similar but pretty simple. I just have to do and then I have self-care because I want it to be simpler. I'm not trying to force myself to be productive on the weekend. I'm really trying to like relax and have fun. So yeah, that's why I really like this system. It's very flexible. It moves with you week to week. It's a great way to reset your week once a week. So every week you would reset your weekly goals, and then you would move your tasks that you put here onto here. And then down here is the main to-do list, and I'm not gonna go over it too much in this video because I went over it in the last video. There's only slight updates, but the flow is basically you have buckets of to-do lists. This is kind of like your master task list, where if you want to brain dump everything you need to do to like reach a goal, you would brain dump it here, whether you put it in bucket. So bucket is where you would put stuff before, you know, if it came to mind, you put it into bucket and then you can organize it later. So quick admin are tasks that would take like 2 minutes to complete, like really simple, short things that you can just batch all together at once. Work is my to-dos for work, and then I have home and health because these are my to-dos for home and health. I have a personal, and then I have, you know, a place for notes and reminders. And then whenever something is like super important, I need to do this next, then I'll move it to important and next. If you go into these, you can prioritize like high, medium, low. You can click done, or you can do later. So like this one, I finished it, so I click done. And I have like a done tab where you can look at everything you've done. If you click later, it goes into this later tab because some things like aren't important right now. And then we have a priority tab where if you sort things by priority, you can find it here. And so usually I hang out in these two tabs, like the to-do or the priority, and then I see like, okay, these things are important, let me add it to my weekly to-do. I find that I don't use this as much because week to week, I just add things directly onto this section, which is why I suggest you guys just focus on this section because it really is the star of the show here. But this is for if you really want to get like, you really want to put a lot of tasks down, you want to really break down your goals, you have this here. One more thing before I go is I want to let you know that we are currently accepting signups to our Mastermind program for the next quarter. So Q3 Masterminds are now open. So I'll leave the link down below if you want to learn more about the program and if you want to sign up. But basically, Masterminds are the higher level of our Dream Life Club program, where you get access to all of our monthly live events on Zoom that I'm hosting, or I invite guests to host, and you get grouped into a small group of like 4 to 5 people to support each other towards your goals throughout the quarter. So not only do you have like weekly prompts and you get to meet up with each other and check in with each other every week, but we have like this whole Notion board where you can have your goals laid out. Like you have your quarterly goals, monthly goals. There's even like a weekly check-in, basically a weekly journal for you to reflect each week on how you're doing towards your monthly goals and quarterly goals. And then you can see what your like other team members are working towards. You can see their monthly progress. Like we have this monthly progress report as well, so that you kind of feel like you're working towards your goals together. So if you feel like you're alone and you'd like some accountability and some support, then I recommend you check out our Mastermind program. I'll leave the link down below to check it out. The new groups will start on July 1st for quarter 3. So July through September, those will be the months that you guys will be grouped together and working on your quarterly goals together. All right, that's it for today. Let me know if you guys decide to try out this weekly to-do list system on Notion. I'd love to hear your feedback down below. I'll see you in the next one. Love you. Bye.